Today we're on the road again for Ned Talks. We are here at MooDuck Brewery in Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania.
So today we're talking about owls, Project Owlnet, and our collaboration with MooDuck Brewery to support Project Owlnet. Welcome to Ned Talks.
Project Owlnet kicked off in 1994. In 1997, the Ned Smith Center for Nature and Art became the institutional home for the project. Project Owlnet is a collaboration between multiple sites across North America to focus on capturing owls. They want to create a standardized system so that everybody is collecting the same information in the same way about these nighttime predators, specifically looking at northern saw-whet owls.
Northern saw-whet owls are one of the smallest owls in North America, and once were thought to be pretty rare, until Project Owlnet came along in the early 1990s. Owlnet was able to start capturing these owls, collecting some data on them, and what we realized is they're quite a bit more common than we thought. Saw-whet owls can be seen making their annual migrations down from northern Canada, sometimes as far as Florida, and are pretty plentiful across the United States. When a banding station captures an owl, the first thing they do is they affix a band to it, similar to these. And these bands each have an individual number on them that becomes the owl's ID. They also collect a lot of other data, including weight, wingspan, and the sex and age of the owl if they can, before releasing that owl harmlessly. If that owl's ever recaptured, they can read that band number, take all those measurements again, and we start to get a personal history on each of those owls.
Project Owlnet is heavily run by volunteers, and that's where the partnership with MooDuck Brewery comes in. Let's go try some beer.
So our collaboration with MooDuck Brewery comes in the form of a delicious ale brewed to support the saw-whet owl program.
All right, so my name is Mike Brubaker. I am one of the owners and the brewer here at MooDuck Brewery. MooDuck Brewery was established in 2014 as the first brewery in Elizabethtown since Prohibition. So it's pretty cool. We've been here a little bit of time. We're a family-owned and operated brewery, brewing on a small brewing system and keeping beer uber fresh and changing all the time. And we also have a small food menu, so you can get food and beer, and we consider ourselves to be kind of like a coffee shop, a brewery, so it's just a really relaxed, intimate little spot to sit down and kind of a community hub of a place to gather with friends and have some good food and beer. Yeah, so we took a base beer of ours, which is called the Great 38. It's our year-round pale ale, and we left that as kind of the malt program, the malt backbone of that, so to speak, the same. And then what we did is we just switched out the hops to match in with the spruce tips. So what we do is we add just a small amount of bittering hops, and then towards the end of the boil, when you're getting all the flavor and aroma out of hops, we add Comet and Citra hops, which are both very citrusy, and then at that same time we also add the spruce tips. So the spruce tips would be the new growth each spring that are harvested, and we use those. And we chose spruce tips, well, number one, in support of the saw-whet owl program. Spruce is a environment where they certainly can be found and is their appropriate habitat. So we thought if we're going to focus on highlighting the program and supporting the program, we would tie the beer into it as best as we can. And spruce tips, of course, everybody thinks piney, and certainly they're going to have that kind of piney aroma, but they're also very citrusy in smell and taste as well. So it would go well with the beer, and it tied in with the owl itself, and we thought it would be perfect.
The saw-whet brew won't be available year-round, so if you missed it this year, stay tuned for further in 2021 when it pops up again.
Now, the process of brewing beer can be pretty complicated. It takes a lot of skill, a lot of talent, a lot of knowledge, and some artistic level as well. And so let's hear how we make beer.
Yeah, so I mean, the super short spiel would be you get mashed, you boil it, you chill it, and you ferment it. That's like the super actual shortest method. So just to go into a little bit more detail, so in your mash, you're essentially converting the starch of the barley to sugar. So to do that, you're essentially soaking the barley in hot water for an hour, pump it over into a boil kettle. In the boil kettle is where you start to do things like adding hops or adding spruce tips, as this beer has. And basically, I count it to making soup. You know, you build your stock, and then once you have your stock, you start adding your chicken and your carrots and all that stuff. It's very similar. So you boil it for about an hour, sometimes longer if it's a higher ABV beer, sometimes shorter if it's a lower ABV beer, or if it's a beer. People are even doing these like no boils and stuff. So there's lots of creativity and lots of differences of processes, but basically an hour in the boil kettle. From the boiling temperature, if we were to add yeast when it's boiling, the yeast would not be very happy and probably would not ferment at all. So we got to take it from boiling to the happy spot of yeast, which is about 68 degrees. So to do that, we run it through essentially a car radiator, and that takes it from boiling to the right temperature to go ahead and add your yeast. There's many different yeasts. If we're making an ale, we have an English ale yeast, which is our house strain that ferments everything. If we're making lager, we have a lager house strain that does all the lager side of things. So when it goes through that chiller, we're looking at ales fermenting at 68 degrees. We're looking at lagers being somewhere around 55 degrees. And the difference from that point is the yeast will take over, and the byproduct of yeast eating sugar is the alcohol that we get to enjoy. So the thing I love about brewing is it fills the creativity side, so it's definitely an art form, but it also fits the scientific side because, you know, there's a lot of things scientifically that have to happen to make a good beer. So it kind of is that perfect correlation of it fits my scientific and kind of nerdy side of that and my creativity side. So it's a perfect blend.
MooDuck Brewery works with multiple charitable foundations, but we were interested in how exactly they got connected with the Ned Smith Center.
My previous experience was actually a director of an environmental nature center. So I have this kind of background as a naturalist. And when we opened here, we wanted to really be able to give back to the community as much as we can, and especially to things where, you know, we feel they're important things to support. So with the naturalist background, we wanted to find a way where we could find a program where we could support and do good things with some of the money we can donate. With that being said, we have a very good customer of ours, Ted Nichols, who volunteers with the program, and it was actually his idea to come up with a beer and a way to support the program. So it was really a combination of our nature backgrounds as owners and his already volunteering with the program.
So that's it for MooDuck Brewery today, but we're going to be doing another episode later in the season to highlight the OWL program a little bit more.
For now, if you want to learn more, you can visit our website, and you can even symbolically adopt an owl if you're interested in supporting Project Owlnet.
Until then, happy pouring.